Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, welcome back to lecture number 24 of macroeconomic course. पहले की तरह चंद मिनट के लिए हम पिछले लेक्चर पे बात करेंगे and then we'll move forward for today's lecture. What we have learned in the previous lectures, if you remember, we talked about the government debt. हमने debt की बात की थी. How we can measure debt, what are the problem while measuring debt in the economy, and then how we can control or how we can minimize the debt burden from different economies. उस पे हमने बात की थी. So we started basically the last lecture we started to discuss and compare the government debt as a percentage of GDP for different countries with the help of figures, and we found that relative to GDP, the US government debt is moderate compared to other countries. This is what we found that. And as we know that debt accumulates as long as whenever there is a budget deficit in the long run, that leads toward government debt. तो जब budget deficit होता है तो debt की तरफ उसमें contribution आती है, debt में इजाफा होता जाता है. So that is, and then we compared, and we have also seen that the percentage of debt GDP ratio has increased over the time in US economy. तो इस पे भी हमने बात की थी. After that, we have discussed the different problems associated with the measures of fiscal policy, or measures with the deficit, budget deficit. Now when we measure deficit, we exclude certain items, we don't consider those items while calculating the deficit in the economies, and that creates problem in the measurement. But however, those parameters are very important, are very crucial to calculate deficit of a country, of an economy. Now what are those? Inflation is one of the parameter or the variable that needs to be counted for when we are calculating deficit, right? So if we did not use inflation or did not calculate budget deficit by using inflation or adjusted for inflation, so then there is a problem of measurement and you cannot interpret properly, right? तो इस पे हमने बात की थी. So inflation is one of the issue or the problem that needs to be considered while calculating budget deficit in the economy, right? उसके बाद बात की हमने government assets की बात की. So do not account for change in government deficit. Most of the time, most economies do not account for changes in government assets in the budget deficit. तो अगर आप इनको assets को शामिल नहीं करेंगे तो then it creates problem in the measurement of deficit, right? So assets, जो government के assets में जो तब्दीली आती है, assets में कमी वाक़ई, sometime assets में कमी वाक़ई होती है, sometime assets में इजाफा वाक़ई होता है, तो उस चीज़ को भी budget deficit में शामिल करना चाहिए. तो this was the second problem or issue that we discussed in the measurement of budget deficit. Third जो problem जिसकी हमने बात की, the third issue, third जो problem है, that is most of the time most economies omit some liabilities like the future pensions payments to the current workers, right? If the government omit if the governments or economies omit these liabilities from the budget deficit, and then there is a problem in measuring the budget deficit accurately, right? So this is the third problem that we encountered while measuring the budget deficit in the economy. Fourth factor जिसकी हमने बात की, that is now most of the time economies do not account for the effects of business cycles, right? So if they don't account for the effect of business cycle while calculating or estimating the budget deficit, so it can create problems, it can create issues, or we cannot calculate properly the budget deficit in the economy. So we should account for should include the effects of business cycle while calculating the budget deficit in the economy. So these are the four factors जिसकी हमने बात की are basically the problems major problems in budget deficit. After that we have discussed हमने ये बात की कि whether debt is really bad for the government or really bad or for the societies. So we have in this regard to know whether that is bad or for the societies or not, we discussed two views of the economist. One is the traditional view, the second is the Ricardian equivalence view. Now in traditional view जिसको हमने डिटेल में डिस्कस किया, a debt finance tax cut increase consumption and reduces national savings. So when the government cut their taxes, what will happen? It leads to increased consumptions in the economy. तो जब consumption में इजाफा होता है तो what will happen? Private saving में कमी वाक़ई होती है. जब private saving में कमी वाक़ई होती है तो overall जो national saving है उसमें कमी वाक़ई हो जाती है. In a closed economy, we have also talked about in a closed economy, this leads to increase in the interest rate in the country or in the economy. When the rate of interest increase, it lowers the investment and lower long run standard of living of the people. तो rate of interest के बढ़ने से traditional view ये है, traditional economists ये कहते हैं कि rate of interest के बढ़ने से investment में कमी होगी, standard of living में कमी होगी because of fall in output. And in case of open economy, it causes an exchange rate appreciation, or the exchange rate appreciate करेगा. जब exchange rate appreciate करेगा, your exports will be expensive for the other countries. जब exports आपकी expensive होंगी तो what will happen? तो exports में कमी वाक़ई हो जाएगी. जब export में कमी वाक़ई हो जाएगी तो what will happen? Your trade balance will be in deficit, right? So according to traditional view, so it affects the consumption and in turn it affects the standard of living through investment and level of output. In case of an open economy, it affects the trade deficit in the country and the economy, right? So traditional economists ये कहते हैं कि debt is not good for the society. It creates problems in the country, in the society. But the recording view जो है वो ये कहते हैं that said the economists said that who believe on the Ricardian equivalence hypothesis, they said that debt finance tax cut do not affect consumption or national saving and therefore do not affect interest rate, investment and net exports of the country. Why? Ricardians ये कहते हैं कि if the consumers are forward looking and if they believe on rational expectation, अगर वो forward looking consumer हैं, rationally behave करते हैं, they believe on rational expectations, तो क्या होगा? जो tax cut अभी उनकी कमी वाक़ई हुई, they believe that in future जब टैक्स कमी वाक़ई हुई तो गवर्नमेंट के डेफिसिट में इजाफा हुआ, गवर्नमेंट के डेट में इजाफा हुआ, तो वो ये सोचते हैं, वो बिलीव करते हैं कि इस डेट को गवर्नमेंट फाइनेंस करेगी इन फ्यूचर. एंड हाउ दे फाइनेंस दिस डेट? बाय रेजिंग और इंक्रीजिंग द टैक्स लेवल इन द कंट्री एंड द इकोनॉमी. तो जब टैक्सेस बढ़ेंगे तो देन दे हैव टू पे मोर, राइट? सो व्हाट दे डू दैट at the present, when taxes has been decreased, they will save money. So जब save करते हैं तो private saving बढ़ती है और national saving में इजाफा हो जाता है, national saving में कमी वाक़ई नहीं हो जाती. तो overall national saving same और stable रहती है और future में जो उन्होंने money save की होती है उसको वहाँ से tax pay करते हैं. तो इस तरह से ये Ricardians ये कहते हैं कि in the long run what will happen if the consumers are forward looking and if they are rational, तो उनकी कंजम्पशन में कमी वाक़ई नहीं होगी, सेविंग में भी कमी वाक़ई नहीं होगी, इन्वेस्टमेंट में भी कमी नहीं होगी और नेट एक्सपोर्ट पे भी कोई इफेक्ट नहीं पड़ेगा. तो वो ये कहते हैं कि दिस इज द डेट फाइनेंस टैक्स कट इज नॉट बैड और डेट is not considered as bad as considered by the traditional economist. Most economists, so we have discussed some other that has we had discussed the debt in some other perspective also. पिछले लेक्चर पे हमने इस पे बात की थी. Most economists oppose strict balanced budget. Strict balanced budget को वो oppose करते हैं, as it would hinder the use of fiscal policy to stabilize output, smooth taxes and redistribute the tax burden across the generations. Government debt can have other effects also, like government debt may lead to inflation. Government debt can affect the politician, can shift the burden of taxes from current generation to future generations. It may reduce country political clout in the international affairs, or scarce foreign investors into pulling their capital out of the country, right? तो इससे दूसरे ममालिक के लोग जिन्होंने इन्वेस्टमेंट की होती है डेट से वो लोग क्या होते हैं, डर जाते हैं, टैक्स में कमी वाक़ हो जाती है, जिससे वो अपना कैपिटल बाहर निकालना शुरू कर देते हैं. पॉलिटिशियन क्या करते हैं, पॉलिटिशियन कैन शिफ्ट द बर्डन फ्रॉम द करंट टू फ्यूचर जनरेशन. सो देयर आर सम अदर प्रॉब्लम associated with government debt. It may lead to inflations also. So this was all about the previous lecture. Now we'll move towards today's lecture. So what we are going to learn in today's class, what we're interested to study, is about investment. Investment is one of the important parameter or macroeconomic variable that needs to be discussed thoroughly. It has an important and significant role in the growth rate of economy, significant role in determining GDP, or output level in the economy, employment level in the economy. So अगर किसी मुल्क में इन्वेस्टमेंट हो रही है, कैपिटल में इजाफा हो रहा है, तो हम ये कहते हैं कि उस मुल्क की ग्रोथ में भी इजाफा हो रहा है, एम्प्लॉयमेंट में भी इजाफा हो रहा है, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट में कमी वाक़ हो रही है और इन्फ्लेशन में भी कमी वाक़ होती है, राइट? सो इन्वेस्टमेंट इज़ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, नीड्स टू बी डिस्कस्ड as far as macroeconomic is concerned. So what we are going to study in today's class, आज हम क्या सीखने जा रहे हैं? We'll talk about different theories that explain the different types of investment. उसकी हम बात करेंगे what are the types of investment, and we try to discuss those types of investment in the light of different theories given by different school of thought, given by different group of economists. तो उसकी बात करेंगे. And second part of the lecture will discuss why investment is negatively related to the interest rate. We'll see, we will determine why the relationship between interest rate and investment is negative. उस पे भी आज हम बात करेंगे. And after that we'll talk about, in the last part of the lecture, we'll talk about things that shift the investment function. So what are the parameters, what are the variables, what are the factors that can shift the investment function leftward or rightward. So these are the things, these are the concepts that we are going to study in today's class. So we start from the first part of today's lecture, and where we are going to discuss the types of investment. Now there are three main types of investment in each country in an economy. तो तीन तरह की investment होती है. One is the business fixed investment. Now what is that? Now business fixed investment is spending on equipment and structures for use in the production process, right? Now the investment in the form of equipment, investment in the form of building, investment in the form of structures, right? Suppose अगर कोई firm एक नया business start करना चाहती है, and if they want to start a new business activity, now for that purpose they have some fixed investment, like they need to build a building, then they need certain equipment and to buy and install that equipment or machinery into the building for the production that can be used for the production of goods and services, right? So fixed investment is the investment in the form of equipment, structures, buildings, whenever a firm initiate or want to increase their businesses. Second, residential fixed investment. So this is in the context when we are purchasing of new houses, units, whether either by the individual or the occupants or the landlord, right? तो चाहे आप अपने रहने के लिए घर खरीदते हैं, चाहे एक लैंडलॉर्ड अपनी उसमें फ्यूचर में इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए उसको बेचने के लिए घर खरीदता है, तो दोनों तरह के जो अखराजात हैं वो रेजिडेंशियल फिक्स्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट की फॉर्म में होते हैं. द थर्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट इज द इन्वेंट्री इन्वेस्टमेंट. इन्वेंट्री इन्वेस्टमेंट इज द वैल्यू ऑफ चेंज, द चेंज इन द वैल्यू or the value of the change in inventories of finished good, materials and supplies and work in progress, right? तो जब काम हो रहा होता है, प्रोडक्शन हो रही होती है, तो when you add up in the stock, when you add up in the inventories, the finished good जो आप प्रोड्यूस करते हैं उसको आप स्टॉक में जमा करते जाते हैं, ऐड करते जाते हैं, तो दैट इज़ नोन एज द इन्वेंट्री इन्वेस्टमेंट. इन्वेंट्री इन्वेस्टमेंट क्या है कि हर साल के बाद आपकी प्रोडक्शन में से कुछ चीज़ें बच जाती हैं, उसको आप स्टॉक कर लेते हैं, दैट्स बिकम इन्वेंट्री. सो इफ़ यू आर बीइंग एडिंग अप द फिनिश्ड प्रोडक्ट्स, मटेरियल एंड सप्लाईज इन द इन्वेंट्री and work in progress, so that will become the inventory investment. So there are three types of investment that we have discussed. One is the business fixed investment, that is the spending on equipment and structures for the use in the production process, that is known as the business fixed investment. Business residential investment, purchases of new houses or new housing units, either by the occupants or landlords, that is also a residential investment. Third type of investment is the inventory investment, that is the value of change in inventories of finished goods, material and supplies when work is in progress. So that is known as the inventory investment. So three types of investment normally are there in a country that needs to be discussed. We'll discuss these three types of investment in the context of US economy. US investment in its component. So on y-axis we are measuring billions of dollars, 1996 billions of investment in billions of US dollars. On x-axis we are measuring, taking the number of the years over the years. So if you see that we have graphed each of the type separately, right? So we have with blue line residential investment, we have the red line with the business fixed investment, and we have line, this almost yellow you can say, is the change in inventory investment. Now if we add up all these investment, then we have the total investment. If we add up the fixed investment plus residential investment plus inventory investment, so this will give us the total investment in the country, in the economy. Now if you look at P is used here for the push, T is the through, right, pushing down, P is for the peak, T is for the through. So if you see that when there is a peak in total investment, you can see that each type of investment is also at the peak. When total investment is through or going down, you can see that each type of investment, whether it is fixed investment, whether it is residential investment, whether it is inventory investment, all of them are going down. Similarly, if we go to year 1980, so if we look at the P, each of the type of investment is going up, and then in 1980, T, if we talk about through, when it is going down, you see that each of the investment is going down, and same continues throughout the period, right? So what we can conclude that if there is some problem in some investment at some time, right, if it is going down, of course that affects the other types of investment in the country and the economy, right? So this is what we mean by showing this graph. कि अगर किसी इन्वेस्टमेंट में कमी वाक़ होती है, किसी इन्वेस्टमेंट में कोई प्रॉब्लम होता है ड्यू टू सम इकोनॉमिक फ्लक्चुएशंस, तो दैट अफेक्ट्स द अदर टाइप्स ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट, तो उसमें भी कमी वाक़ होती है, एंड दैट अफेक्ट्स द ओवरऑल लेवल ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट एंड इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी इन द कंट्री एंड द इकानमी। तो ये तीनों इन्वेस्टमेंट्स जो हैं, वेदर इफ वी टॉक अबाउट फिक्स्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट, इन्वेंटरी इन्वेस्टमेंट और द रेजिडेंशियल, तो ऑल दीज इन्वेस्टमेंट्स आर रिलेटेड विद ईच अदर। किसी एक में कमी वाक़ होती है तो दूसरी में भी कमी वाक़, किसी एक में इजाफा होता है तो दूसरी में भी इजाफा। सो दीज आर इंटरलिंक्ड, इंटर-रिलेटेड, और किसी एक में कमी से दूसरे में कमी, दूसरे में इजाफा से दूसरे में इजाफा हो जाता है, तो इस तरह से एक दूसरे को इफेक्ट करती हैं। नाउ विल कम टू द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ बिजनेस फिक्स्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट। बिजनेस फिक्स्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट को मजीद देखते हैं कि हाउ वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड, हाउ वी कैन टेक इट फर्दर। द स्टैंडर्ड मॉडल ऑफ बिजनेस फिक्स्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट इज द न्यू क्लासिकल मॉडल ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट। The model which we are going to discuss to explain the business fixed investment is the new classical model. This model shows that that investment depends on, according to this model, according to new classical model, investment depends on the marginal productivity of capital, it depends on the interest rate, it depends on the tax rules affecting firms. Now, how it depends on marginal productivity, right? If marginal productivity of capital is positive, what is marginal productivity is about? हमने chapter 3 में डिस्कस किया था कि marginal productivity of capital means the change in capital due to one extra unit of capital in the production process, right? So that is known as the change in productivity, change in output, change in total output, total production due to change in one extra unit of capital. यानी कि अगर आप 100 यूनिट कैपिटल के लगा रहे हैं and you are producing 1000 unit of output, and if you increase 101 unit of capital and you produce 1011 units of output, so वो जो output में इजाफा हुआ है एक यूनिट के कैपिटल की वजह से, that is the marginal productivity, right? So according to new classical economists, ये ले कहते हैं कि investment depends on marginal productivity of capital, यानी कि अगर marginal productivity of capital positive होगी, जब तक ये positive रहेगी investment में इजाफा होता रहेगा। जब when it becomes zero, investment becomes stable. So when marginal productivity goes down, when it becomes negative, what will happen? Investment goes down. So marginal productivity is one of the determinant or the component or the factor on which investment is depending, right? So whenever MPK, marginal productivity of capital, is positive, investment will go up. If it becomes negative, investment will go down. If it becomes zero, investment remains stable, right, or remains same. सेकेंड फैक्टर जिस पे इन्वेस्टमेंट डिपेंड करती है इज द इंटरेस्ट रेट। जैसा कि आपको मालूम है कि ये ऑलरेडी हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं इन प्रीवियस चैप्टर्स, द रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट अफेक्ट्स नेगेटिवली टू द इन्वेस्टमेंट, यानी कि अगर इंटरेस्ट रेट में इजाफा होता है तो पीपल वुड प्रेफर टू डिपॉजिट देयर मनी विद द बैंक्स इंस्टेड ऑफ इन्वेस्टिंग इन सम प्रोजेक्ट्स, राइट? सो जब money deposit हो जाएगी, less money will be there, capital will be there to investment for investment purposes, so rate of interest के बढ़ने से investment में कमी वाक़ई हो जाएगी, and if rate of interest goes down, investment में इजाफा हो जाएगा. This is the second factor. Third factor जिस पे investment depend करती है is the tax rules affecting firms. It also depends on the tax laws and rules and regulations that are affecting firms' decisions, right? So, lecture के last part में हम discuss करेंगे कि there are two types of normal taxes, that is the corporate tax and the investment tax credit, right? So both affects the decision of the firms, right? To invest more, to increase more in capital, to invest more, right? So if government introduce tax laws and rules that are in favor of investment decisions or that are in favor of firms, then of course this investment will stimulate, investment will increase. But if tax laws or rules introduced by the government discourage investors, discourage investing firms, so then investment will go down. So we can say that, we can conclude that by saying that investment depends on marginal productivity of capital, one. Number two, it depends on the interest rate, it depends on the tax laws affecting firms' decisions. Now, in this slide, I would like to tell you that the types of firms. For simplicity, we assume here that there are two types of firms. दो तरह की firms होती हैं जो कि investment में involve होती हैं. Suppose करें, number one is the production firms. That these are the firms who rent the capital they use to produce goods and services. मतलब प्रोडक्शन फर्म ऐसी फर्म्स होती हैं जो कि कैपिटल को रेंट करती हैं, कैपिटल को खरीदती हैं, लेती हैं, and they use that capital in the production process and produce goods and services. Second are the rental firms who owns the capital and they rent out and supply the capital to the production firm. So production firm are those firms who rent the capital from the rental firms and use that capital in the production of goods and services. Now rental firms कौन सी होती हैं? ये वो firms हैं जिनके पास capital होता है, जिनके पास equipment होता है, and they rent out that capital to the production firm which they use in the production process. So in this context we can say that investment is the rental firm spending on new capital good. So यहाँ हम कह सकते हैं कि investment basically is the rental firms spending, rental firm का जो खर्चा है spending है on new capital goods. तो rental firm जब नई capital goods खरीदते हैं, नए capital खरीदते हैं, नई capital अशिया खरीदते हैं ताकि वो अशिया आगे उनको production firms को देती हैं जो कि उसको use करके प्रोडक्शन करती हैं गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज की. तो इन दिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट जब हमने इन दो फर्म्स की बात की तो हम ये कह सकते हैं कि इन्वेस्टमेंट इज द रेंटल फर्म स्पेंडिंग ऑन न्यू कैपिटल गुड्स. We'll see the capital rental market, how it behaves, how it works. Production firm must decide how much capital to rent. So production firm has to decide how much capital they are going to rent. Recall from chapter 3, competitive firm rents capital to the point where marginal productivity of capital is equal to their price, rental price R over P. तो अगर आपको याद होगा कि when we have talked about the we talked about in chapter 3 जहाँ हमने बात की थी कि किस हद तक, कहाँ तक जो रेंटल फर्म्स हैं, प्रोडक्शन फर्म्स हैं, कहाँ तक कैपिटल को रेंट करती रहती हैं, कहाँ तक कैपिटल को खरीदती रहती हैं और प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस में लगाती हैं. हमने ये कहा था the production firms will continue to buy capital to hire, rent more capital and use this in the production process till the point the marginal productivity of the capital is equal to the rental price, MP is equal to R over P. So we'll try to explain this with the help of diagram. जैसा कि मैंने आपको बताया कि whenever we are discussing the market, we have demand. We need to look into the demand of that particular factor and supply of the factor. So since we are here discussing the capital market, the capital rental market, so we have the demand for capital and the supply of capital. As we know that the supply of capital is fixed, is given. Normally we assume that chapter 3 में अगर आपको याद होगा तो we assume that K bar is fixed, K bar is given, capital is given. So when capital supply is fixed, so we have vertical capital supply curve, and the demand curve for capital as usual is negative. If the price of capital, which is the rental price or which is the rental cost, if it goes up, its demand will go down, right? So demand curve of capital is negative, which is the marginal productivity also. Both of these two curves, the supply curve and the demand curve, are intersecting each other at a point. At point A. Now point A is the point where the demand of capital is equal to the supply of capital. Now this determines the equilibrium interest rate in the economy, right? This is the interest rate. Suppose this is R naught, or the rental rate, not interest rate. This is the rental rate, right? At this rental rate, the supply and demand of capital is this. This is the demand and supply of capital. So when we discuss the capital rental market, the production firm will continue to hire or rent more capital to use in the production process till the point the marginal productivity of capital is equal to its price, which is the rental rate, R over P. And we have discussed the same thing with the help of diagram. जैसा कि मैंने बताया, on y-axis we are measuring rental price, real rental price, R over P. On x-axis we are measuring capital stock K. We have a vertical supply curve, we have a negatively sloped demand curve for capital. Both of these two curves are intersecting at point A. That determines the equilibrium rental rate or price, real rental price of the capital, and and also determines the capital supply and capital demand on x-axis. Now what are the factors? I would like to tell you that what are the factors that can affect the rental price. कौन से फैक्टर हैं जो कि कैपिटल की रेंटल प्राइस को इफेक्ट कर सकते हैं. जब वो फैक्टर कैपिटल की रेंटल प्राइस को इफेक्ट करेंगे तो नेचुरली दिस विल इफेक्ट द इन्वेस्टमेंट लेवल इन द कंट्री एंड द इकोनॉमी. तो थ्रू factors that affect the rental price of the capital, we'll see how it affects the level of investment in the country and the economy. तो कौन कौन से फैक्टर हैं जो कि इफेक्ट कर सकते हैं रेंटल प्राइस को. If you remember, we have discussed the Cobb-Douglas production function, and we can write Cobb-Douglas production function y is equal to a k alpha L1 minus alpha. A, where y is the level of output produced, a is the level of technology used in the production process, k is the capital, L is the labor. Now if the marginal productivity of the capital, and which is basically equal to the real rental price of the capital, is equal to, now if we take derivative of the production function, हमारे पास production function क्या है? This is the production function. If we differentiate this with respect to k, this will become a alpha k alpha minus 1 into L1 minus alpha, or this can be written as a alpha L1 minus alpha. अगर आप इसको नीचे ले जाएं k को, it will become 1 minus alpha. Now after solving this, a alpha L over k power 1 minus alpha, right? So the marginal, this is the marginal productivity of capital, and we found this marginal productivity, and as we said that at equilibrium marginal productivity of capital is equal to the real rental price of capital. Now we see that what are the factors that affect the real rental price, which is R over P in this equation. Now if suppose capital goes down due to some war or earthquake, जब capital में कमी वाक़ई होगी तो overall L over K में कमी वाक़ई होगी और marginal productivity जो है उसमें कमी वाक़ई हो जाएगी. So what will happen? The real rental price of capital will go up. And similarly, if labor increases due to population growth, तो लेबर में जब इजाफा होगा तो ये जो कंपोनेंट L ओवर के इसमें इजाफा हो जाएगा, तो ओवरऑल रेंटल प्राइस जो है, रियल रेंटल प्राइस कैपिटल की क्या होगी, बढ़ जाएगी। तीसरा जो फैक्टर जो कि इफेक्ट कर सकता है रियल रेंटल प्राइस को, वो है A, the level of technology. अगर level of technology, if new methods of productions are introduced in the country and the economy, if new methods are used, new equipment is used, नई टेक्नोलॉजी को आप यूज करते हैं प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस में, तो ओवरऑल जो मार्जिनल प्रोडक्टिविटी या रेंटल प्राइस ऑफ कैपिटल क्या होगी, वो बढ़ जाएगी। राइट, तो तीन फैक्टर्स जिनकी हमने बात की जो कि कैपिटल की रेंटल प्राइस को इफेक्ट कर सकते हैं। व्हाट आर दोस थ्री फैक्टर्स? वन इज दी कैपिटल, अगर कैपिटल में कमी वाक़ई होती है तो ओवरऑल एल ओवर के में इजाफा होता है, जब एल ओवर के बढ़ेगा तो रेंटल प्राइस ऑफ कैपिटल बढ़ जाएगी। राइट, दूसरा फैक्टर कौन सा? अगर लेबर में इजाफा होता है तो रियल रेंटल प्राइस ऑफ कैपिटल भी बढ़ जाएगी, एंड दैट इज वन ऑफ द फैक्टर। द थर्ड इज टेक्नोलॉजी। टेक्नोलॉजी में अगर किसी वजह से तब्दीली आती है, चेंज आती है, तो उससे रियल जो रेंटल प्राइस ऑफ कैपिटल है उसमें भी। तो थ्री फैक्टर्स जिनकी हमने बात की दैट कैन इफेक्ट द रेंटल प्राइस ऑफ कैपिटल। वन इज द कैपिटल, द अदर इज लेबर, द थर्ड इज लेवल ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी। नाउ रेंटल फर्म्स investment decision. So how rental firms make their investment decision, whether they should buy new capital goods, new capital to supply it to the production firm or not, how their decisions are made, how they take investment decisions. Right, now rental firms invest in new capital when the benefit of doing so exceed the cost. The rental firms investing in new capital depends on the cost of that decision and the benefits of the decision, right? So they will compare the cost and benefits. Now what is the benefit? So we need to compare the cost. So अगर benefit with the benefit, अगर benefit बढ़ जाता है then cost, तो then rental firm decide to investment in new capital. If benefit is less than cost, then they will not invest in new capital, right? So the benefit, so in this case, so in order to look at the decision कि कैसे rental firm decision करते हैं, how they make decision to invest or to buy new capital, it depends on the benefit as well as cost of the capital, right? तो अगर benefit is greater than cost, so then naturally they will go for investing in new capital. If benefit is less than cost of the investment, then of course they will not investment in new capital. Now to explain this it further, हमें देखना पड़ेगा कि what are the benefits of investing in new capital, what are the costs, possible cost of investing new capital. So we'll see that the benefit per unit capital is the real rental price, the income that rental firms earn from renting the unit of capital out to production firm. So the benefit of per unit capital is the real rental price. That is the income that rental firms earn from lending the unit of capital to the production firm, right? So real rental price, which is the price of capital, R over P, is the income that rental firms earn from lending the capital to the production firm. So production firm उस capital को use करती हैं, and the process of production they produce goods and services in the economy. So the benefit is the real rental price of capital. Now what are the possible cost of capital? The component of cost of capital are three. There are three possible cost of capital. One is the interest cost, and that is equal to I into PK, where PK is the nominal price of capital. So interest is the percentage of the nominal price of capital. The first cost is the interest cost. The firm has to pay interest, the rental firm has to pay interest, right? If they want to invest in new capital, so they need to get that money, or they have to pay certain interest rate, IPKs. Second is the depreciation cost, where delta is the rate of depreciation, right? Delta PK. Third, capital loss. What is that? Delta PK. A capital gain is delta pk is positive, reduce cost of capital. तो अगर delta pk change in the price of capital, which is known as the capital loss, is positive, it means it reduces the cost of capital. If delta pk is negative, it increases the cost of capital. So तीन component हैं जो कि total cost of capital के बराबर होते हैं. If we add up these components, we will get the total cost of the capital. And what are those components? Interest cost, depreciation cost, and the third is capital cost. Now if we add up these components, then we'll get the total cost of capital of the rental firm. Now nominal cost of capital is equal to IPK plus depreciation lambda pk minus delta pk. If we simplify this equation, so the total cost is equal to IPK plus depreciation pk minus delta pk. Now if we simplify, if we take pk common from here, we are left with I plus lambda minus delta pk. Divided by pk. Because इसके साथ pk terms नहीं थी, तो you have to multiply and divide this by pk, so that will become right. Now suppose we take an example of car rental company. pk, if pk is $10,000, rate of interest is 0.10, depreciation is 0.20, delta pk over p is 0.06. Now interest cost here is how much? 1,000. How it becomes 1,000? Because we know that interest is 0.10. If we multiply with pk, which is the price of capital, is this will become $1,000, and this is the depreciation cost, and the depreciation is how much? 0.20 into 10,000. This will become $2,000. Then capital loss is what? Delta pk is 0.06. If we multiply this with this 10,000 will become minus 600, right? So we have a negative sign because it is loss. So if we add up these three costs, interest cost, depreciation cost, capital loss, this will give us the total cost of capital, which is $2,400, right? So if for the company, a rental company, a car rental company, the capital for a car is 20, total cost is, if they want to add up a new car in their company, buy a new car, so they have to bear the total cost, which is $2,400. For simplicity, we assume that delta pk, as we know that this delta pk over pk is equal to pi, which is the inflation rate. So then the nominal cost of capital will be equal to pk into I plus lambda minus pi, and it is further written as we know that the real interest rate is equal to the nominal interest rate minus inflation. तो ये हम पढ़ चुके हैं जब हमने एक्सचेंज रेट की बात की थी, इंटरेस्ट रेट की बात की थी. हमने ये देखा था कि रियल इंटरेस्ट रेट इज इक्वल टू नॉमिनल इंटरेस्ट रेट माइनस इन्फ्लेशन. सो इफ वी जस्ट रिप्लेस दिस इक्वेशन, तो वी गेट this the cost of capital equal to pk into the real interest rate plus depreciation, and the real cost of capital will be equal to, if we divide this with p, So this will become the real cost of capital is equal to PK over K is the real price of capital into real interest rate plus depreciation. The real cost of capital depends positively on the relative price of capital, one thing. It depends positively on the rate of interest. It positively depends on the depreciation rate. So the real cost of capital, renting or buying a new equipment, machinery, car, whatever you can say that, whatever is the form of capital, the real form of capital depends on the relative price of capital, positively depends on the relative price of capital. It positively depends on the real interest rate in the country and the economy. It positively depends on the depreciation rate. So the rental firm profit will be equal to, how we can find the rental firm profit? As we know that profit is the difference between the benefits minus cost, right? So as we know that the profit is equal to benefit minus cost. Now as we said that benefit is the real rental price of capital, and what is the cost? We have just found that the real cost of capital is equal to PK over P into real interest rate plus depreciation. So as you know that, but this basically what we are deciding, what we are seeing that, what we are observing that, we want to see that how the rental firms make their investment decisions. कैसे वो decision करते हैं, how they decide to whether to invest in capital or not to invest in capital, buying new capital. So they compare benefits and cost of the investment project. So profit is equal to benefit minus cost. Now as we know that benefit is the real price of capital and the cost is the real capital cost depends on the real price of capital, rate of interest and depreciation. It can be further written as we know that that real rental price is equal to marginal productivity of capital. If we just replace this term ROP with MPK, so the profit rate is equal to marginal productivity of capital minus PK over P, which is the real price of capital into real interest rate plus depreciation. So this determines the profit of the rental. Now if profit rate is positive, what it means, if benefits are greater than cost, in other words, if marginal productivity is greater than the real cost of capital, then it is profitable for the firm to increase capital, to make investment in capital, right? If profit rate is negative, what it means, in other words, if marginal productivity is less than the real cost of capital, so then what will happen? So then the firms increase profits by reducing its capital stock. If the profit rate is negative, then there is no incentive for the firm to increase capital or to invest in new capital, right? So firm reduces K by not replacing it as it depreciates, right? तो उस capital में कमी वाक़ई हो जाएगी and they will not replace the existing capital, which when it depreciates, they will not replace that depreciating capital with the new capital because profit rate is negative, right? So in order to determine the profit rate of the investing firms, which is the rental firm in this case, if we want to determine that, we need to compare benefits with its cost. Now if benefit is greater than cost, they will go for investing in K. If benefits is less than cost, then they will not investment in capital. So from this equation, profit equation, we can write the equation for net investment. We can also write the equation for gross investment. Net investment can be written as delta K. Net investment is the change, is defined as the change in capital. When firms continue change in capital, it means there is increase in net investment. It can be written as IN is a function of, depends on, the net investment depends on MPK, which is the benefit, minus the real price of capital, real cost of capital, that is PK over pay into R plus depreciation, right? So where IN is the function showing how net investment respond to the incentive to invest, how net investment is responding, how there will be change in capital stock by looking at the investment, incentive to investment. Now when we have incentive to investment, जब आपका ये जो component है MP का इस component से बड़ा हो, यानी कि benefit is greater than cost of the capital, so then there are incentive for the firms to invest in that project, right, to increase capital. And when they increase capital, then of course there is a change in net investment, right? So change in net investment, change in capital depends on the net investment, depends on the incentive to invest. So whether profit is greater than investment, benefit is greater than real cost. So if profit is positive, then there is incentive to the rental firm, for the rental firm to invest, right? When they invest, net investment is depending on that investment decision, right? So if there is a positive investment decision, of course net investment में अज़ाफ़ा होगा, यानी कि change of capital में अज़ाफ़ा होगा. But if profit rate is negative, then there is disincentive for the firm to invest, and net capital, net investment है उसमें भी कमी वाक़ई होगी, यानी change in capital में कमी वाक़ई होगी. Now the total spending on business fixed investment equals the net investment plus the replacement of depreciation, right? So if we add up the depreciation of capital into the net capital, so that will give us the gross investment, यानी कि net investment which is IN, उसको आप add कर लें with the depreciation, so you will get the gross investment. So that is equal to, gross investment is equal to change in capital, which is the net investment plus depreciation. And now change in capital is the net investment IN within bracket MPK minus PK over K, then R plus GA bracket close plus depreciation. So if we add up the change in capital, which is the net investment, and add the depreciation into that, depreciation of capital, this will give us the gross investment in the country and the economy. Now by using this net investment, we can draw the investment function, right? As we know that on y-axis we are measuring the interest rate, on x-axis we are measuring the investment, right? As we know that investment has negative relationship with the rate of interest. It depends negatively on the rate of interest. Now at R1, if you see this diagram, at R1, suppose at point A, we have R1 rate of interest and I1 level of investment. Now suppose rate of interest goes up from R1 to R2. Now what is happening at point B? Rate of interest has gone up from R1 to R2. Investment goes down from I1 to I2. So an increase in R raises the cost of capital. Capital की cost क्या होगी? बढ़ जाएगी. जब capital की cost बढ़ेगी, यानी कि जो second component है, ये जो part है, ये बढ़ जाएगा. जब capital की cost बढ़ जाएगी, तो reduces overall profit rate of the firm. जब profit rate कम होगा, तो जैसा कि हमने अभी discuss किया है कि profit rate में कमी से जब ये component बड़ा होगा, ये छोटा होगा, तो overall आपकी जो investment है वो कम हो जाएगी, because profit rate goes down. So investment become negative. So we can say that the rate of interest and investment are negatively correlated with each other. Now suppose if there is increase in the real rental price of capital, which is the marginal productivity. Now if the marginal productivity of capital goes up, what will happen? Again, we'll see, show this in this diagram given in front of you. On y-axis R, on x-axis investment, we have I1 curve, right, the level of investment curve. Now suppose if an increase in marginal productivity of capital or decrease in the real price of capital PK over K, what will happen? This will increase. अगर ये marginal productivity में इजाफा होता है और PK over P में कमी वाक़या होती है, which is the real price of capital, इसमें कमी वाक़या हो या marginal productivity में इजाफा हो तो क्या होगा? The profit rate will go up. Profit rate जब बढ़ेगा तो क्या होगा? The rental firms or the firms will invest in capital. जब change in capital आएगा, when investment in capital होगी तो what will happen? The investment curve shift from I1 to I2. So if you see here, rate of interest remains same, but the real rental price of capital has changed, or the marginal productivity has changed, and that shifted the I curve from I1 to I2. So investment has increased from I1 to I2 at the same interest rate. Now we'll come to the last part of today's lecture, how we can relate taxes and investment. Two of the most important taxes affect investment. Now there are two types of taxes जिनकी हम बात करेंगे, and these are the two most important taxes, or the types of taxes that affect investment level in a country, in an economy. And what are those taxes? Number one, corporate income tax. Number two, investment tax credit. Now these are the two taxes which are levied, imposed by the governments in a country, in an economy, and these type of taxes have a significant effect on the investment level in the economy. We'll see those one by one. Now, a corporate tax basically is a tax on profit, right? It is known as the tax on profit. So its impact on investment depends on the definition of the profit. So how we define profit basically. अगर हमने जो law introduce किया है, and by introducing that law we have imposed a corporate tax, which is the tax on profit, on the investment profit, and then profit is used for the investment. Now it depends how the government has defined profit in their law, right? कैसे उसको define किया? It depends how corporate tax is going to affect the level of investment in the country. It depends on the definition of profit used by them in their law. If the law used our definition, which is the rental price minus cost of capital, then the tax does not affect investment, right? So if the law use the definition of profit that we have just discussed in the previous slide, हमने क्या discuss किया है? Profit is equal to the rental price minus cost of capital. So if the law use this definition, then corporate tax does not affect the level of investment in the country. In our definition, depreciation cost is measured using the current price of capital, but the legal definition uses the historical price of capital. So if PK rises over time, if the price of capital rises over time, then the legal definition understates the true cost and overstates the profit. So firms could be taxed even if their true economic profit is zero. So thus we can say that corporate profit income tax discourages investment. So it depends. So what we have seen that it depends on the definition of profit used in law. If the law or the government use the definition of profit as we have discussed in the previous slide, and which is the difference, profit is equal to the difference in rental price minus cost of capital. So then imposing corporate taxes or tax on profit does not affect much the investment. But in our definition, we have included depreciation cost is determined as measured using the current price of the capital. However, in case of their legal definition, they use the historical price of capital while measuring the depreciation cost. So in this case, if P rises over time, then the legal definition understates the true cost and overstates the profit. In this case, the corporate tax will affect the profit rate and also affect the level of investment in the country, in the economy. So this is one type of taxes that can affect the level of investment in the country. Second is the investment tax credit. The investment tax credit reduces a firm taxes by a certain amount for each dollar it spends on capital. So this is basically an incentive for the investors to invest more. If the government introduce or levy investment tax credit to the firms, then of course by a certain amount, then it spend more on capital. So then it affects this tax, this investment tax incentive effect positively to the capital and to the investment by reducing the price of capital, which increases the profit rate and the price incentive and then the incentive to the investors, right? So tax investment tax credit basically is an incentive to the firms to invest more, to spend more by reducing the price of capital in the country and the economy. तो दो तरह के हमने टैक्सेस की बात की, कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स की बात की और दूसरा इन्वेस्टमेंट टैक्स क्रेडिट की बात की. तो दोनों जो हैं वो इफेक्ट कर सकते हैं the level of investment in the country and economy. So students, this is all about today that I would like to share with you. I will stop my lecture here today. Before ending my lecture, I would like to revise what we have learned today. Now first, we have discussed the types of investment, where we have discussed three types of investment, and those are business fixed investment, residential investment and inventory investment, right? All types of investment depend negatively on the real interest rate. तो जितनी भी investment की हमने बात की, they all depend negatively on the interest rate. अगर rate of interest में इजाफा होता है तो investment में कमी वाक़ई होती है, और अगर rate of interest में कमी वाक़ई होती है तो investment में इजाफा वाक़ई होता है. So all types, all sorts of investment that we have discussed in today's class depends negatively on the interest rate. उसके बाद हमने बात की things that shift the investment function. What are the factors which are responsible or possible causes of shifting the investment function? तो पहली जो चीज़ है that is the technological improvement raises marginal productivity, raises business fixed investment, and the investment curve will shift rightward. Second, increase in population raises demand for price of housing and residential investment. So this will shift the investment curve. Third, economic policies like corporate income tax and investment tax credit alter incentives to invest, right? So these are the basically policies introduced by the governments to effects to alter the level of investment in the country and the economy. So this is what we have learned at the last. Students, I stop my lecture here. Thank you so much for listening me, for giving me a patience hearing. Till next time we meet, God bless you. Allah Hafiz.